No one really knows where it came from. Some say it was a weapon, something built in a lab that got loose during one of the colony wars. Others think it was never meant to be on the ship in the first place, that it hitched a ride, hidden deep, in the cargo hold of an abandoned freighter, waiting in the dark for someone unlucky enough to open the wrong door. All anyone really agreed on was this: it was a monster. Huge, silent, and impossibly fast. Ships would go dark, crews would vanish, and the only thing left behind were the twisted remains of whatever that thing had touched. They called it Unit 9. Not a name, just a designation. Cold. Clinical. Like that would make it easier to forget. The screams echoing through the maintenance decks after a sighting. The company ran damage control, of course, said it was a rumor, said there were no confirmed sightings, but the security footage told a different story. You couldn't see it clearly, just a dark blur, long limbs, something wet and reptilian sliding across the floor faster than anything should move. The lights would flicker, then go out, then silence. Most people ran the other way. Some even quit their contracts early. But not Alex Wren. Alex was just another station tech, quiet, mid-level, barely on anyone's radar. He fixed things, vents, relays, oxygen regulators, small stuff. He wasn't a soldier, wasn't even someone who talked much. He liked it that way. After surviving the war, he'd had enough of loud things, of orders, of people who looked at you like you were either useful or disposable. The silence of deep space suited him, or at least it did, until the monster came for him. It started with strange noises. Nothing unusual at first. Clanks in the ventilation, power fluctuations, drops in pressure. Just enough to keep him busy. The others joked about it. Maybe Unit 9's getting bored, someone said. Nervous laughter. But when two of the engineering crew vanished from Corridor C, and all that was left was a trail of melted floor panels, no one joked anymore. They locked. The lower decks. Reinforced bulkheads. Automated turrets. Nobody wanted to risk it. Still, systems kept failing. So of course they sent Alex. You know the pipes better than anyone, they said. Quick in and out. He didn't want to go, but he also didn't say no. That's just who he was. What happened next, no one could explain. Alex went down into the dark alone. The cameras tracked him as far as Service Hatch 12 before the feed cut out. Everyone held their breath. 5 minutes passed, then 10, then 20. No screaming, no blood, no signal. An hour later, the hatch reopened, and Alex walked out. Alive, untouched. And behind him, in the shadows, something moved. At first, the crew thought it was a glitch. Maybe a drone. But when they slowed the footage, enhanced it frame by frame, the outline became clear, towering, black scales, eyes like polished stone, and it was following him, quietly, carefully, like a shadow that had chosen not to strike. They called an emergency meeting. Armed guards were dispatched, but when they stormed Alex's quarters, there was no attack, no fight, just Alex, sitting calmly on his bunk, and behind him, crouched like an oversized hound, was the thing that had haunted their nightmares. It didn't growl. It didn't charge. It didn't do anything except watch. From that moment on, nothing made sense. The creature refused to leave his side. It followed him from corridor to corridor, towering over him like a dark protector. It didn't eat, didn't sleep, didn't even respond to threats. One soldier tried to tase it, just once. The man's gun melted in his hands and the monster didn't even blink. But Alex could touch it, talk to it, walk beside it like it had always been his. No one knew why, not even Alex. When asked, all he said was, "It just looked at me." And something changed. They ran tests, scans. Nothing came up. The creature had no readable biology, no recognizable DNA, no vital signs. It was like it didn't exist, yet it was real enough to leave claw marks on metal and silence a whole room just by stepping into it. Some wanted to kill it. Some wanted to cage it. Others wanted to study it. But none of them could do anything, because it wouldn't let them. Suddenly, Alex became the most important person on the station, not because of anything he'd done, but because the one thing everyone feared had decided he was worth protecting. As days passed, whispers turned into rumors. Rumors turned into orders. Earth Command wanted answers. The company wanted control. Mercenaries were dispatched under the guise of reinforcement. The station began to change. More eyes on Alex, more questions, less trust, and still, the creature remained by his side. Some called it a miracle, others a curse. But Alex didn't see either. To him, it felt like a weight he hadn't asked for. Like being handed a live grenade and being told to hold still. He started having dreams. Strange ones. Not his own memories. Memories that weren't human. He'd see planets burning, stars blinking out, creatures older than time whispering in, languages he didn't know but somehow understood, and always, at the center, a presence. Cold, patient, watching. He woke up one night with blood on his hands, but no wounds. Just a voice in his head, soft and clear. It's not here for them, it's here for you. And then, something happened that changed everything. A distress signal. Faint, buried under static, coming from deep space. It repeated just one phrase. Over. And over again in a language no one recognized, except Alex. He translated it without thinking. We are coming for what is ours. He didn't know how. He just knew. And the monster, the one everyone feared, looked up for the first time in days, eyes narrowing, body tense. It understood too. Whatever this creature was, it wasn't the real threat. Something worse was on its way. And Alex Wren, he was right at the center of it all. Alex didn't sleep much after that night. He couldn't. Not with that signal still echoing in his head, looping like it had carved itself into his brain. He kept hearing it even when the room was silent, even when he wasn't near any comms. At first, he thought he was just tired. Stress, maybe. But the look in the creature's eyes, that unreadable, silent look, told him something bigger was happening. Something he hadn't asked for. Something no one was ready for. The others on the station were starting to notice the change in him, too. It wasn't just the way he moved or the way the creature followed him like a living shadow. It was his expression. Like he was hearing things the rest of them weren't. Seeing things that weren't there. They kept their distance. Even the ones who used to eat lunch with him or crack jokes in the break room avoided eye contact now. You couldn't blame them. When you're standing next to the one thing that scared everyone more than death itself, people tend to think twice before getting close. The station had gotten colder somehow, like the metal itself could feel what was coming. Lights flickered more often. Systems glitched for no reason. Even the gravity generators stuttered once or twice, sending tools and furniture floating for a few seconds before snapping everything back down hard enough to bruise. The engineers said it was just wear and tear. Normal stuff. But no one believed that. Not anymore. Alex tried to keep to himself. He still did his rounds, still checked pipes and panels and filters like nothing had changed. But everything had. He couldn't ignore the way the crew watched him through glass windows now, how the guards followed at a distance, hands resting on weapons they knew wouldn't help them. He didn't blame them either. He didn't understand. The creature, not really. It didn't talk, didn't growl or snarl like some beast. It was calm, too calm. It watched everything. It was always alert, always ready, but never aggressive, at least not unless someone got too close. Alex had seen it tilt its head, just slightly, and make a low rumbling sound once. The soldier it was directed at fainted before he could even react, and yet, Alex never felt afraid of it. That was the strangest part. In fact, he felt safer when it was near. Like it knew something he didn't. Like it wasn't protecting him from the others, but from something else entirely. The nightmares got worse. He started seeing things when he was awake. At first it was just flashes, a burning sky, ships falling. Like rain, a planet covered in something black and shifting. Then came the voices. Not loud, just whispers. Like they were trying to decide whether he was ready to hear the truth. Sometimes he'd stop mid-step, breathing hard, like his body had remembered something his mind hadn't caught up to yet. He started asking questions. Quietly, carefully. "What is it?" he asked one of the science officers during a routine air filter check. "The thing with me. Have you figured out what it is?" The man looked at him like he was standing next to a ticking bomb. "No, we've tried everything. Scans, samples. Nothing sticks. It's like it's not made of anything we know." Alex nodded, pretending that made sense. But it didn't. Later that day, someone slipped a note into his locker. No name, no signature. Just a few shaky words, scribbled fast. It wasn't the first. There were others. They didn't survive. That night, Alex sat across from the creature in the empty cargo bay. It crouched low, arms resting on its knees, still as a statue. He looked into those deep, dark eyes and finally said it. "You've done this before?" It didn't respond, of course, but its gaze sharpened. And for the first time, Alex felt like it was studying him back. He didn't know what that meant. Not yet. Meanwhile, Command kept sending messages, demanding updates, pressuring the crew for answers. A ship was on its way, scheduled to dock in 3 days. Reinforcements, they said. Specialists. But no one believed it was just about research. Not anymore. The crew started whispering about extraction, about containment, about shutting the whole station down if they couldn't control what was happening. One of the medics disappeared the next morning. No alarms. No blood. Just gone. Security tried to blame the creature, but everyone knew it hadn't moved all night. It had been with Alex the entire time, pacing the hall outside his room like it was standing guard. So if the creature wasn't responsible, what was? Whatever was coming, it wasn't subtle. The ship's long-range sensors started picking up strange readings, pulses, bursts of radiation that didn't match anything they'd seen before. It felt like something was scanning them, watching them from the dark. And then, a second signal arrived, fainter than the first, shorter, but clear. He is the key. Do not let him leave. No one knew who it was from. It didn't match any known channel or frequency, but somehow Alex understood it was meant for the creature. And whatever it meant, the creature took it seriously. It stayed even closer after that, shadowed him everywhere, never more than a few feet away. When Alex tried to put space between them, it growled low and followed, like it wasn't just protecting him now. It was guarding something inside him. That scared Alex more than anything. He started wondering if maybe this thing wasn't following him by choice. Maybe it was bound to him, or maybe it had chosen him, for a reason neither of them fully understood. The crew started pushing back. They wanted him contained, separated. There were talks of putting him under observation. He knew they were scared. And when people are scared, they do stupid things, dangerous things. He needed answers. Fast. He went back down to the restricted sector, the part of the station no one went to anymore, the place where the creature had first appeared. Most of it was sealed off, but Alex still had access codes. He passed through corridor after corridor, lights flickering above him, the hum of the ship vibrating through the walls like a heartbeat. And the creature followed. Alone, reached the old data core, dusty, dead, mostly forgotten. But Alex powered it up anyway. And when he did, hidden files surfaced, files that weren't supposed to exist. Project Eden. Something about a signal discovered decades ago. Coordinates to a system that didn't appear on any star map. A crew sent to investigate. A ship that never came back. And then, the first sighting. The first creature. The logs cut off after that. But one note remained. Short, final. It's not a monster. It's a warning. Before Alex could read more, the power cut out. Behind him, the creature turned its head toward the ceiling, body tense, nostrils flaring. Something had arrived, but it wasn't the rescue team, and it wasn't human. Let me know. If you want the next part, or if you'd like to adapt this into voiceover timing or a storyboard. The emergency lights kicked on, dim red strips along the walls pulsing like a heartbeat in panic. Alex stood frozen in the dark core chamber, watching as the creature slowly shifted its stance. Not aggressive, not defensive, something else. like it was listening for something Alex couldn't hear. Or maybe it already knew. Whatever had arrived, it wasn't friendly. And it wasn't here by accident. Alex turned and ran, the creature staying close behind, nearly silent despite its size. The corridors were empty, eerily quiet except for the soft hum of backup power. As they moved through the station, Alex caught glimpses of crew members peering through reinforced windows. No one opened a door. No one waved him down. If anything, they looked more afraid than ever. He reached the command deck just in time to catch the end of a frantic transmission. The communications officer, Anders, a quiet woman who never raised her voice, was pale, sweating, eyes wide. She turned to Alex and said just 2 words before she cut the channel. "They're here." The screen behind her still flickered, but the signal was scrambled. Something was jamming it. Alex stepped forward, staring at the static, his gut twisting. "Who?" he asked, though he already had a feeling. Anders glanced at the creature behind him. "Whatever was chasing that thing, it's followed it here." Suddenly, the station didn't feel like a sanctuary anymore. It felt like a trap. The first impact hit 5 minutes later, a low, distant thud that sent vibrations through the metal floor. Not an explosion, more like a landing. A deliberate, heavy arrival. The security team was mobilizing, but it was chaos. Half of them were afraid to face the creature at Alex's side. The other half were just afraid of what else might be coming. Captain Rowe emerged from the inner chamber, flanked by 2 armed guards. He looked exhausted, older than the day before. "You brought this on us," he said to Alex, not with anger, just resignation. "We should have spaced it the moment we found it." Alex didn't bother arguing. "You think I had a choice?" "It follows me. It protected me." "Protected you from what?" the captain asked. Alex couldn't answer. Because the truth was he didn't know anymore. Not really. That's when the lights flickered again. A new alarm sounded, this one low-pitched and unfamiliar. It wasn't from their systems. The creature turned toward the window and let out a deep, low rumble. Outside, something moved past the edge of the station. Large, fast, too fast. Whatever it was, it hadn't docked. It was circling. Alex felt it, before he saw it. A pressure in his chest, like gravity bending sideways. A wrongness in the air. He turned to the captain. "We need to lock everything down." "We can't," Rowe replied. "Docking bay's already open. Something's overriding the controls." Anders stood frozen, whispering something to herself over and over. Alex moved closer, trying to hear. "They're not ships. They're alive." The docking bay cameras showed something approaching now. Dark, shifting shapes that seemed to swim through the vacuum. Not vessels. Not machines. Organic. Massive. Their surfaces looked like wet stone and armor, fused into one, and their forms weren't fixed. They moved like smoke trapped in a suit of bone. Alex stepped back from the screen. The creature behind him did something it hadn't done before. It stepped forward, not toward danger, toward confrontation. It looked directly at the screen, then at Alex. And for the first time, Alex saw fear, not panic, not terror. Something older, something deeper. Like the creature had seen this before and knew exactly what it meant. Another impact rocked the station, closer this time. The hull groaned, panels sparked, emergency systems switched to isolation mode, shutting off certain sectors. Alex turned to Rowe. "We have to evacuate." "We can't," Rowe said. "Shuttles are dead. They're not letting anyone out." The creature stepped between them suddenly, as if drawing a line in the room. It placed one hand on Alex's shoulder, gently, like a guide. And then something unexpected happened. Alex heard a voice. Not in the room, not in his ears. In his mind, a single word, "Remember." And just like that, Alex's vision blurred. The room faded. A flood of images poured in. Brief, flashes like old memories breaking through a wall. He saw stars, endless space, a dark planet with impossible geometry. A team, he was part of it. Suits, signals, warnings ignored. And then, the first encounter, not with the creature, with the ones chasing it. They weren't just predators, they were collectors, harvesters. The creature wasn't running. It was hiding something, and that something was inside Alex. When he snapped back to reality, the station was darker, louder, alarms blaring, a breach reported near the lower levels, but all Alex could think about was what he'd seen. He wasn't just a technician anymore. He was the key to something much, much bigger. That's when they heard the first scream echo through the ventilation shaft. High, short, and immediately cut off. Security moved out. Rowe gave orders, but it was too late. Whatever was aboard wasn't just attacking. It was searching. And Alex had a feeling it was searching for him. He turned back to the creature. You knew this was coming. It didn't answer, of course, but it didn't have to. Alex could feel it now, the connection, not just to the creature, but to whatever message had been buried in his mind since the day that signal first played. He'd been chosen, or marked, and time was running out. Let me know if you'd like the next chapter, or if you want to include a side character's POV next. The lights flickered again, this time not coming back on. The main reactor had shut down. The silence that followed was thicker than the dark itself. Alex stood still, hearing only the soft, deliberate breath of the creature behind him. Somewhere, in the shadows of the station, something moved. Too large to be human, too quiet to be mechanical. Everyone knew the real confrontation was only moments away. Captain Rowe tried to regain control from the emergency terminal, his voice tight, whispering to his second-in-command about rerouting power. But even as he typed, warning codes filled the screen: external override, internal breach, critical pressure drops. It wasn't just a shutdown. Something was dismantling the station from the inside, like it was peeling it open. Alex felt a weight pressing against his chest, not from fear this time, but from understanding. The vision he saw earlier wasn't random. It was a memory, his own but hidden, locked away. The creature had unlocked it. Somehow, when they'd first touched, something ancient inside him had awakened. Now the station was no longer just a place under attack. It was a battlefield, and he was in the center of it. The creature tapped a panel near the wall. A hidden door opened, an older maintenance route not listed on the official maps. Alex followed it instinctively, as if he'd known it all along. Inside, it smelled like old metal and burned plastic, the path lit only by weak red emergency lights. The creature walked ahead, silent, as though it had been down this path before. Maybe it had. Maybe it had built it. Behind them, the walls trembled. Again. A sharp sound like claws on steel echoed through the corridors. Not just one set, multiple, moving quickly, coordinated. The kind of movement that said intelligence, not instinct. They reached the old comms center, disconnected from the main systems after the last retrofit. Alex brushed dust off the controls. It was ancient tech, but he remembered how it worked. His fingers moved fast, flipping switches, tapping buttons. Static filled the screen, then a faint signal. Someone was broadcasting nearby. He focused the signal, cleared the noise. A voice broke through. If anyone's receiving this is Shuttle Vega 4. We intercepted an emergency beacon from your station. We're holding at distance. Something's blocking our approach. Your station looks compromised. Alex leaned in, whispering into the mic. Don't come closer. Stay clear. They're inside already. We need evac, but not now. Not yet. Pause. Then, understood. We're holding position. Send us coordinates when it's safe. The feed cut out. Alex turned to the creature. It was staring at him, eyes deeper than shadow, unreadable. You knew they'd follow you here, Alex said. You knew they'd come for me. The creature didn't nod, didn't speak, but something passed between them, a kind of quiet acknowledgement, as if to say, it's always been about you. Back in the main station, chaos had escalated. Another section had gone dark. Screams filtered through comms before going silent again. One by one, cameras shut off. People vanished without a trace. No blood, no signs of struggle. Just gone. Alex and the creature moved deeper into the station's forgotten levels, an older area built before the new designs. The architecture was different, sharper, heavier, more secure. Maybe someone had once prepared for this. Maybe someone had known. In a chamber lined with strange black material, part synthetic, part organic, Alex found a terminal that hadn't been touched in decades. The interface flickered alive at his touch, as if it recognized him. Files unlocked, diagrams, notes, a project name, Host Core. As he read, pieces started fitting together. The creature wasn't the monster, Alex was. Not in the literal sense, but in purpose. Decades ago, this station had been built for deep space research. One of the projects involved psychic interface experiments, ways to harness energy through bioorganic links. One trial had succeeded, but it needed a host, someone genetically compatible. And Alex, born to parents who worked on that very team, had been exposed to it before birth. That's why the creature followed him, not as a threat, as a protector. It had been created to guard the key. Alex was the key. Suddenly the station shook violently, worse than before. The walls rippled, not exploded, rippled. Something had breached into the core level. Alex could feel it now, deep in his bones, like a storm pushing through his nervous system. He turned to the creature. "They're going to rip me apart to get what's inside." The creature didn't blink. Alex opened the last file, a diagram, a code, a way to activate what was dormant. A surge of understanding hit him like lightning. The project hadn't just made him a host. It had made him a gate, a living access point to something that should have never been touched. And now, the ones chasing the creature, they wanted to unlock it, not to use it, to let it out. The sound in the station changed again. A low thrum. A resonance so deep it made his teeth ache. It wasn't mechanical. It was alive. Something was waking up. The creature took a step forward, claws extending. Not out of aggression, out of readiness. Alex looked up and said, "If we do this, there's no going back." The creature just stood there. The doors ahead of them started opening on their own, not from any human control. The space beyond was black. Not dark, black, like the absence of light. Something inside that space breathed, not with air, but with gravity. It pulled at Alex's mind, trying to draw something out. And then, a voice again, but not the creature's. A different one. "You are the gate. Let us through." Alex felt his knees go weak. The creature moved in front of him protectively. The walls of the room pulsed with heat, the floor beginning to crack under pressure. The resonance increased, and now he could hear screaming from deeper levels of the station, raw, endless, inhuman. The climax wasn't here yet, but it was seconds away, and in that second Alex had to choose, seal it forever, or open the gate. The moment hung there, suspended in noise, darkness, and pressure, just before everything shattered. Let me know when you're ready for the final part, or if you'd like a dramatic cliffhanger continuation. The pressure hit first, like the air had been sucked out of the entire room, even though they were sealed deep inside the station. Alex braced himself, body shaking, every instinct screaming to run. But there was nowhere left to run. The dark space ahead of him wasn't just a passage, it was the opening. The thing that had been following him, inside him, was close to breaking through. The creature stood protectively in front of Alex, claws out, body low like it was preparing to fight something it couldn't touch. Whatever was trying to get through the gate wasn't a being with form. It was a force, a presence, ancient, intelligent, and relentless. It wasn't just hunting Alex, it was using him, trying to push itself into the world through the psychic connection that had been buried inside him since birth. Alex reached for the terminal again, hands trembling as he activated the final command sequence. The old files didn't just hold the truth, they held a failsafe. His parents had built it long ago, before the project was shut down, before they vanished without a trace. He understood now. They'd discovered too much, realized too late that they hadn't just tapped into energy. They'd tapped into a doorway, one that never should have been found. The terminal buzzed softly, a faint pulse syncing with Alex's own heartbeat. A sequence appeared on the screen, ready to complete the lockout. If he triggered it, the connection would be severed, permanently. But so would a part of him. Whatever lived in that space beyond the void, it had become entwined with who he was. This wasn't about defeating a monster. This was about cutting out something inside himself. Behind him, the creature stepped back, placing a clawed hand gently on Alex's shoulder, not to stop him, but to steady him. It knew what was coming. It had known from the start. This was the moment it had been guarding all along, not just keeping Alex alive, but keeping the door closed. The resonance rose to a deafening hum. The dark rift ahead began to pulse, edges glowing faintly with colors that had no names. From within, voices echoed, too many to count, whispering, pleading, manipulating. They promised power, peace, understanding, anything Alex wanted. All he had to do was say yes. But Alex didn't speak. He didn't answer. He reached forward and completed the sequence. The chamber around him lit up with a sudden white light. The hum stopped instantly, replaced by absolute silence. The dark rift quivered, then began to fold inward, like a wound healing in reverse. Energy surged, rushing past them like wind, only to be pulled violently inward. The voices screamed once, loud, raw, and were gone. Then everything was still. The light faded slowly. The station stopped shaking. The creature stepped away, looking at Alex with what could only be described as relief. Alex dropped to his knees, exhausted, his body drained. The connection was gone. Whatever had been inside him, dormant or waiting, was sealed now. Not destroyed, but locked away again. Somewhere even he couldn't reach. He didn't know how long he sat there just breathing. Minutes, hours. Time had stopped meaning much. But eventually the sound of footsteps pulled him back. Captain Rowe entered the chamber, weapon lowered, eyes wide. "It's over," he asked quietly. Alex nodded. "For now." Rowe looked around the chamber, then at the creature standing beside Alex. "So, it was never the enemy." "No," Alex said. "It was trying to stop the real enemy, and so was I. I just didn't know it." Later, after the station stabilized, the remaining systems were restored. Communications were back online and shuttle. Vega 4 docked carefully once the all-clear was given. The crew helped transport the wounded and gathered those who had survived. Many were gone, vanished into the dark during the breach, but those who remained shared a look that only people who'd faced something impossible could understand. Alex stood at the edge of the main observation deck, staring out into space. The stars looked the same, quiet, innocent. But he knew better now. He knew what lay behind them, what watched from the darkness beyond the reach of even their most powerful scanners. He knew that curiosity had nearly undone them all. The creature joined him, silent as ever. No one had tried to restrain it or isolate it anymore. They understood now. It wasn't a monster. It was a guardian, maybe even a friend. Alex turned to it. "I don't know what happens next." The creature looked at him for a long moment. Then, without sound, it began to move, toward the far end of the hangar, toward the open gate of a shuttle. It was leaving. Alex stepped forward. "Wait, where are you going?" It paused just once, looking back at him. And for a second, Alex felt a flicker of that connection again. Not the forceful kind, not the threat, but something soft, final, a goodbye. And then it was gone. In the weeks that followed, the station was stripped and abandoned. Official reports labeled the incident as a deep space anomaly and massive systems failure. No mention of the rift, no mention of what had really happened. But those who were there, they remembered. Especially Alex. He returned to Earth, not as a hero, but as someone changed. He didn't speak about the creature publicly, didn't explain what had truly happened in the core, but he carried it with him. And sometimes at night, he could still feel the faint hum of something once buried deep inside him. Quiet now. Sleeping. But never gone. And in the end, he knew the truth. The universe wasn't empty. It wasn't quiet. It was full of things older than fear, darker than time, and some of them were still waiting. Alex had made a choice. One that saved everyone. But gates, once opened, even briefly, never stay closed forever. And somewhere, out there, the darkness remembers his name.